Brian Moreland, better known as EDP445, became known for his videos about food, sports, and giving opinions nobody asked for. In April of 2021, he thought it would be a good idea to meet up with a minor, only to find himself face to face with Alex Rosen, a predator hunter, telling him that he was only there for a few cupcakes. And to everyone's surprise, nobody believed him, thus ending his online career. In September of 2023, EDP had the brilliant idea to meet up with another underage girl, but sadly for him, the little girl turned out to be two Pred hunters, Skitter Jean and Gideon, who, dressed as a cupcake, tried to confront EDP, but the 32-year-old man-child decided to run away to avoid the consequences of his actions. With this, I want to introduce two key concepts that we'll use throughout the video. EDP, to refer to anyone who acts like this guy, and cupcake, to refer to minors.
It's showtime!
They not like us. They not like us. They not like us.
I've always been interested in watching Chris Hansen's shows. I found them both hilarious and horrifying, because these episodes aren't staged. They feature real people who wanted to, let's just say, have some cupcakes.
Well, I was actually coming out here to pick up a cupcake.
They were gross idiots who used lame excuses to justify what they were doing. Like, I just came to see if she was okay, I just came to hang out, or
She said she was 12!
they thought they'd just get a slap on the wrist and go home, only to run into officers who arrested them and, at the very least, put them on the sex offender registry, which, in case you didn't know, is pretty bad for them, since it restricts them in areas like housing, employment, surveillance, and public reputation, as they're required to inform their neighbors that they're on the list. Chris Hansen is still doing the same thing, now on another channel called True Blue, but he has a different approach to his takedowns, focusing more on the arrest and exposure of the EDP rather than the spectacle itself, although every now and then you get gems that mimic arts.
Seems he gets a little suspicious of our decoy, played by a 28-year-old actor we hired.
Why
did you do it, Jerry?
Because I'm stupid.
I'm being a real doofus.
This is where Gideon comes in, who we'll be talking about in this video, or rather, his content, but I also want to talk about these EDPs who infiltrate social media and pose as ordinary people like you and me.
I don't want to fuck my friends. I'm good.
I wanna fuck my friends.
Gideon dedicates himself to catching these kinds of people, making videos about it, and I feel that his content and modus operandi are the perfect evolution of what Chris Hansen used to do.
Let's say it was to us, like, what the hell's wrong with this guy?
A typical EDP investigation begins as follows. An EDP contacts a decoy account and makes it clear from the start that they are a minor. The EDP just doesn't care about this, or it motivates them even more. The two chat for a while, with the EDP being the one who initiates all sexual conversations or sends inappropriate images, often containing cupcakes. Eventually, the EDP wants to go get cupcakes, and a meeting place is arranged, most often at the decoy's house. Usually, and justifiably so, EDP hunters come across as confrontational or aggressive, making it clear that they are not police, but still getting the EDP to talk to them. There are some who decide to take it one step further and assault them, but we'll talk about those guys later. Here's where Gideon stands out. Instead of coming off as aggressive, angry, or bossy, he talks like a friend, like someone who just wants to clear things out, and making the EDP feel like what they did was not that serious, or that it will have no consequences if they talk. Oh, but how can he treat an EDP like that? Calm down, partner. I'll tell you why. When they are confronted with cameras on their face, strong words, or punches, the EDPs tend to shut off completely and remain silent, thinking that things will just blow away. By taking a more gentle approach, EDPs get their guard down and are more likely to overshare. It's basically using the read technique, which is a method to make the accused feel less in trouble and more at ease with their interrogator, increasing the chances at a confession. And that is what happens on the sketches. Gideon, by being friendly, gets the EDPs to confess to molesting someone, being on Telegram groups where they share illegal shit, or even having active warrants for other crimes.
Well, I touched him inappropriately when he was in high school at the time, and I was a freshman in college.
Once they confess, a member of his team will call the police, and when they arrive, my favorite thing happens.
This is my friend Douglas, Quinn in here, Scott right here, my friend Terrian. We're just home, we're just talking. Are you ever gonna try to meet up with a 13-year-old again? All those Facebook messages, those are yours though, right? You came here to meet a 13-year-old boy today, right? You were talking to a boy online. That child pornography that's on your phone, this is all yours, right? You're not gonna watch child pornography anymore, right? You were gonna have sex with her if you met her? Are you ever gonna send pictures of your to her, and you're not gonna talk to the girl? And the number you text her on, that's your number, right?
I'm gonna place you under arrest.
Wait, hold on. You said nothing was gonna happen.
Gideon basically makes them confess on camera and in front of the police, so that officers have enough probable cause to make an arrest. These types of actions have accomplished convictions and getting these type of people out of the streets, but Gideon is not the only one getting convictions, which is the most important thing about this whole issue. Chris Hansen, by being more involved with police, manages to get a fair conviction despite not having the EDP confess in camera. Other catchers like Trilogy Media take on a more mocking and confrontational tone that still gets results, though it's viewed more negatively by some users, and even compare them to people that punch them. All of these groups, even if they have different methods, are equally important, as they all get EDPs behind bars and create a better, safer environment. But then we do have the bad apples, the ones that some people consider worse than EDPs. And no, but it is not entirely logical, since some geek streamers would rather get a show where they hit and degrade them rather than getting them arrested. And you might think, good, isn't it? They deserve it, or even, I would do something worse. But doing this only complicates things and makes them way worse. For starters, EDPs easily get away with it, since it's more likely for a judge to dismiss the soliciting charges in favor of the aggravated assault. This obviously means that all the effort that went into getting the proof and the meeting is thrown in the garbage, and now that same predator will be more wary of decoy accounts, and if they manage to get another encounter, they will likely carry a weapon to feel safer, and that is the worst thing that can happen. If by some luck they meet up with hunters, it might be possible to calm them down and take away the weapon. But what if it's a cupcake? Now that cupcake has far fewer chances of escaping, as it might even make the predator paranoid to anything, increasing the risk to the minor. Fortunately, good hunters are fighting against this too, and they don't let views cloud their most effective methods, which in Gideon's case, doing things the right way, has resulted in a much bigger view count than people who heard them. And it's easy to think of these videos as another form of entertainment. Though yeah, sometimes they do edit the video so that it gets more views and do benefit from that. But is that wrong? This doesn't mean that they aren't preventing potential abuse, and I cannot have empathy for someone who was going to cause harm to a minor, because there will never be an excuse that justifies wanting to meet up with one or having CP. There are people that see hunters as a threat, lumping them together with people such as Vitaly, who takes everything as a joke, hitting or humiliating the EDP and screwing the entire case up, or outright accusing an innocent man.
She never told me.
Wait, really?
The same people think that because they expose the EDP, they become the victims, which will never be the case. Because hunters are not taking justice on their hands. They tell them what they think and turn them over to police. Sure, sometimes they might mock or insult the EDP, but it is not comparable to what the EDP was planning to do. Thanks to this type of creators, many streets and homes are becoming safer, and if the hunters collectively have thousands of videos, can you imagine how much abuse they have prevented? How many people have they brought justice to? And no, they are not and will never be vigilantes. They're not Daredevil beating the shit out of EDPs. In fact, the EDPs much rather get beat up than to go to jail, because they know that a few blows and some broken bones will heal. A sentence does not. And what happens after the video is over? Usually, the EDP is arrested and eventually judged, and although not 100% of the time, most arrests end in convictions or at the very least, the offender registry. But there's a certain group of EDPs who don't end up that way. Like the EDP, for example, as he didn't face any jail time and to this day, he's still trying to get his fame back. There's a YouTuber I used to follow a lot. He was part of the Vanos crew, a group of friends that make videos playing games. 3D. He's known as Minilad, and grew to have over 5 million subs, until it was found that he was grooming a 16 and a 17-year-old. And although he admitted to doing so, he never actually took responsibility of his actions, even trying to silence the girls, blaming it all on his mental health, as if his depression justifies sexualizing minors. After that, he lost contact with the entire Vanos crew, and for a while, they stopped mentioning him at all to avoid questions or being linked to him, until curiously his former best friends, Terrorizer and Nogla, began mocking him in several videos, censoring his name at first.
As you guys can see, there's the bear on the left and then the on the right.
Okay.
And eventually not giving a shit, even reacting to memes made about him.
Here in my cinema, you got my brand new 200-inch plasma screen.
But why do I bring this up? Simple. The fact that Minilad was a British man living in the UK and that he talked with American girls makes the whole process of arresting and pressing charges Very complicated, if not impossible. And he's not the only one. We all know artists or people in power who have done similar things and haven't faced charges, or worse, still hold that position or power. So, where's the justice? If guys like Minilad, EDP, or Crazy Ukulele Colleen haven't been properly brought to justice, what can we do? Memes. Mockery is our best defense against people like this, who, despite being proven creeps, remain free and continue to want to harm minors.
I also feel minors should get in trouble for messaging adults. You feel me?
Because, in a comical way, it forces us to remember what they did, and in the process, ruins any attempt by these people to return to a normal life. Because that sin will always remain on the record, that they sought to or straight up harm minors, and, as a result, they won't be able to easily find work, housing, or an audience. And as aggressive, abusive, or bully-like the memes may be, we must put into perspective what they did against what the meme might say. But most of the time, the scales will tip in our favor, although we must also be careful when doing so. Because of course, it's never right to incite harassment or harm against people, no matter how much they might deserve it. Especially because it could end up hurting people who truly don't deserve it. We must not forget what these people did and must continue to fight for their victims. Of course, many of us have no legal knowledge or direct influence over the justice system, but if we can make others aware of these cases and help them remember them, we can be a louder voice than the money these people have, and laugh in their faces at how pathetic they are. And that's all I have to say. There are many things involved in these videos and bad things that happen in them, but there's no reason to end this on a down note, because no matter how much harm these people cause, there will always be more people doing good, fighting for those who can't. They help us understand that no matter what these people do, they haven't won yet, and they never will. So keep making memes, and keep supporting the hunters. We must not forget that EDPs exist, but we also shouldn't live in fear of them. They're pathetic creatures who break easily. That's why I love this content, but I would love more if there were no need for it to exist. Anyway, let me know your thoughts. Do you think what I'm saying makes sense? Do you know any other cases that aren't getting enough attention? And Gideon, if you're watching this on stream, what's up? Is there anything I left out? Anything I missed or misinterpreted? And can I borrow $4.45?